Greetings and welcome to part 2 of Aliens or Demons. And the topic mainly is going to be about their seed, the Nephilim, or the giants, as it is translated from the Greek and the Septuagint. And as we learned from part 1, this view is not a popular view by many. And many believe in the Seth view as being the sons of God, instead of those who left their estate and their habitation, which were in heaven, to come down into the daughters of men. Excuse me. It doesn't make any sense that such beings would even exist if men were just having sex with women. Because if that is the case, we would still be having big giants that are 36 feet tall today. See? So let's get right into it. Thank you for tuning in if you watched part 1. And this one here is going to be a little more extensive with information from a couple of 3 videos from Redirecting, because that brother and sister, husband and wife, they have always been on it. Being believers in Elohim, believers in Hebrew, knowing they're historians, as a matter of fact. They know what they're talking about. And I am not one that follows blind people. I follow those that see. So without further ado, let's get into it. There were giants on the earth in those days, and also afterward, when the sons of God, the fallen angels, came in to the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, the Nephilim. Those Nephilim were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. Okay? They were the giants. And all through recorded history, you can see the giants. Og, the king of Og, and how huge his bed was. Okay? The 5 sons or the 5 brothers of the Goliaths. Okay? They were giants. And when David picked up the stone to sling, he had 5, because he had one for every one of them. And mind you, when you spin that slingshot as fast that he was slinging it, picture a person throwing a baseball at almost 100 miles an hour or more. Okay? So when he slung that slingshot, it went straight through his skull, right through his head. Just like if you throw a baseball in fast speed up close to someone, it's going to go through them or crack their skull. And after that, he chopped off his head. And that was the end of Goliath. And moreover, Joshua's reign. Joshua's job was to rid the earth of the Nephilim, the giants. Because it's a passage that says that we are grasshoppers amongst them. And that's how we look to them, and that's how they look to us. And look at the tent. What do you think? Who do you think they're messing with here? These flying angels. Numbers 13:33 says, and there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And so we were in their sight. Look at an ordinary man just 6 feet. Og of Bashan, Goliath scale, 12 feet to 18 feet. 24 feet, the early Canaanite giants, 30 to 36 feet tall. Oh, you don't believe it? There's evidence everywhere. And Anak, mind you, is short of what they use in Anakin in the movie Star Wars. Why do you think they use his name Anakin? I always pay attention to those names that they use in these big budget films, because these people are connected with the Nephilim. And as we will see in the upcoming videos, the bloodline didn't stop. After the flood, they didn't stop, because there was John in the days of before the flood and after the flood. Because if that wasn't the case, why would Joshua need to rid them? And also King David. Look at all the different times that they battled giants. And look at this creature, a mixture. We have all types of creatures here today that are half-breeds, mutated, gene splicing. All these things have been going on. Remember the story of Yaqub? Okay? Now look at these giants. Look at here. They pillaging. Got cows, got pigs, livestock, and they hide, because ain't nothing they can do. And this was going on for real. Look at Genesis chapter 6. For more, in a minute we're going to look into the book of the Watchers that they excluded from the Bible. Because see, that's what they did. They came and took our women and did what they wanted to do with them. And that was a no-no. But how did this happen? We have to go back to find out the story of what went on in heaven to cause them to be cast out. Okay? To be with Satan, that old red dragon, okay, that would be put into the lake of fire. But see, it was 200 of them that left their estate and their habitation to come down here to rule. And of course you're going to rule over us, because you have power and strength and size way above what we have. But see, the Nephilim are the giants. Let's make that a disclaimer. They came from the angels, the fallen angels, not the good angels, the fallen angels that went against God. In the story of God creating us, once God wanted to create man, it says, that's when Lucifer, the super cherubim, was mad and asked, why would thou create something that would just shed blood? And the Father told him, you know not what I know of him. Because the Father had already given Adam names that he didn't give to Lucifer. Okay, there's so many things about the first Adam that God intended for good. And it was good. That's why he said after the 6th day when he created everything, it was good. But lo and behold, that's when Lucifer creeped in, because he had to be there at that time. His fall had to exist in between the time right before the serpent tempting Eve in the Garden of Eden. Because remember, they were guarded by super cherubim. That tree of life, the forbidden tree. All the other trees you can eat of, but not this tree. And because of the disobedience, we were made to suffer. But back to the subject of the Nephilim, the giants. The stories are all across the world. Bones are all across the world. Artifacts are all across the world to where they existed. And you try to recruit, you try to look past it, but Hollywood has put it right in your face. Hollywood got all type of movies with giants in it, right in your face. And what's sad is that it's in plain sight. If you're going to want to hide anything, you hide it in someone's face. It's like I explained in one video that I made. And look at this giant. This was not no joke, people. This was, I think in Japan or China, where it was long ago. Not really too long ago, because you can see the buildings and the people in their attire. But look how tall that man is. And look how huge he is. That's Nephilim. That's not a woman. How you gonna give birth to something like that today? Your womb will be through. You know, so how was this possible? It was possible through gene splicing. Look at what they say about the abductions. The abductions, the so-called aliens, which are the demons, the fallen angels, they always taking tissue samples. They take them away and doctor on them. Okay? Experiment on them. They plant eggs in them. You know, many of the women that have been abducted have been pregnant and end up with one of these Nephilim seeds. And that sounds far-fetched, but look at the world today. You have so many people missing. They didn't stop making people on the milk cart. They used to always say, have you seen this person, this little girl on the milk cart? There's so many people you cannot even fathom. See what I mean by Hollywood? They let you see exactly what they see and what they believe and what they know to be true. This is confirmation of Genesis 6. It tells you all about it. And, the Bible is not real. That's the white man's book, they say. I'm not going to give credit to no man of what is the Almighty's power. That's divine. And if you were to take heed, you will see. Look at these creatures. Look at this disgust. And if you destroyed it with water because of these things, what you think he's going to do this time? But see, man is going to destroy himself because these Nephilim has given you the devices to kill yourselves. More and more technology is advanced, but to what end? Is it to a good end or to a bad end? It's always a bad end. So you shall see the conqueror is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, not these Nephilim. Okay? So let's go forward. The Book of the Watchers. The first section of the Book of Enoch describes the fall of the Watchers, the angels who fathered the Nephilim, the Benai Elohim, the sons of God, and narrates the travels of Enoch in the heavens. This section is said to have been composed in the 4th and 3rd century BCE, according to Western scholars. So this book, although not canonized, and all the people that claim to be preachers or pastors, ministers, apostles, whatever y'all call yourselves, y'all all deny the bloodline of Noah. We are idiots. How can you deny Enoch? Oh, it's because of the truth that's contained within it. Okay? Now look, from the contents, from 1 through 5 parables of Enoch, of the future Lot, of the wicked, and of the righteous. 6 through 11, the fall of the angels, the demoralization of mankind, the intercession of the angels on behalf of mankind, the dooms pronounced by God on the angels of the Messianic kingdom. 12 through 16, dream vision of Enoch, his intercession for Azazel and the fallen angels, and his announcement of their first and final doom. Now, who is Azazel? Azazel is a fallen angel. Okay, he was sent a scapegoat bearing the sins of the Jews during Yom Kippur. In the Bible, he only appears in association with the scapegoat rite during the Second Temple period, and he appears as a fallen angel responsible for introducing humans to forbidden knowledge. So, although the practices of Judaism and what they did in those times was to, put their prayers or whatever it is on top of the goat head, that's what the high priest did, and they sent the scapegoat out there. That type thing is still wicked to me, because I don't believe in the Sanhedrin. I don't believe in their practices. These were the very people that killed the Messiah. Well, had him killed, because they was too punctified to do it. They had power to do it. But that's another story. Okay, 17 through 36, Enoch's journeys through the earth and Sheol, which is supposed to be hell. Okay, Enoch also traveled through a portal shaped as a triangle to heaven. Sounds familiar? That's all you see is pyramids, right? Okay, we can go on, but I think you get the idea of where this knowledge is coming from. And I've been talking and talking and talking, and I got a lot to say, but let's get to some video. Pardon the spookiness.
We are the giants.
Giants, the children of the Nephilim.
The Nephilim. Eliud.
The children of the Nephilim.
Giants.
The seed of the fallen angels.
Seed of the fallen angels.
Nephilim.
The story of the fallen angels begin in Genesis 6, 1 through 4.
And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. And God said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of his thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
The sons of God saw beauty of the daughters of men, and desired them as wives.
Oh, how beautiful they are. The daughters of men.
Daughters of men.
Come, let us go down unto them and take them as wives.
As wives. They will bear our children. Yes.
And our seed will be mingled with theirs.
Yes, yes.
Many people think that the term sons of God does not mean that they were angels. But if you read Job 1:6, you'll see that this is exactly what they are, angels. Job 1:6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before Yahuwah, and Satan came also among them. Also in Job 38, 6 through 7. It states how the sons of God shouted for joy before man was even created. The sons of God are angels.
Whereupon are the foundations thereof fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy?
The Book of Enoch makes it clear that this is exactly what happened. The Book of Enoch 7:2. And when the watchers, angels, the sons of heaven, beheld them, they became enamored with them, saying to each other, Come, let us select for ourselves wives of the progeny of men, and let us beget children.
Many people do not accept the Book of Enoch, but it has hard facts proving that the angels took wives. The King James Version, on the other hand, isn't that clear. But the Book of Enoch makes it very clear. This may be why the Book of Enoch was not added to the Bible, and why so many are so skeptical about the book. Modern scholars estimate the older sections, mainly the Book of the Watchers, is dated at about 300 BC. And the latest part, the Book of the Parables, is probably dated around the 1st century BC. Discoveries of copies of the book among the Dead Sea Scrolls found at Qumran proves that the book was in existence before the birth of the Messiah, and it had a great influence on the early Messianic believers. Why is this important? Well, many of the sayings of the Messiah was derived from the Book of Enoch.
Over 100 phrases in the New Testament find precedence in the Book of Enoch. Here are a few of them. John 4:14. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. The Book of Enoch 48:1. In that place I beheld a fountain of righteousness which never failed. The term children of light in the Bible may have come from the Book of Enoch 105:25. And now I will call the spirits of the good from the generation of light, and will change those who have been born in darkness. Matthew 22:30. For the resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. The Book of Enoch 50:4. And all the righteous shall become like angels in heaven. When the Messiah said in Luke 6:24, But woe unto you that are rich. It is a direct quote from the Book of Enoch 93:1. Woe to you who are rich. Terms like Son of Man, Lord of Lords, King of Kings, all were found in the Book of Enoch. This pretty much validates the book, since both the Messiah and his apostles quote from it. According to the Book of Enoch, 200 angels descended upon Ardis, which is the top of Mount Armon today, known as Mount Hermon, which is located on the border between Lebanon and Syria. The Book of Enoch 7:7. Then they swore all together, and all bound themselves by mutual execrations. Their whole number was 200, who descended upon Ardis, which is the top of Mount Armon. The Book of Enoch 7:10-15. Then they took wives, each choosing for himself, whom they began to approach, and with whom they cohabitated, teaching them sorcery, incantations, and the dividing of roots and trees. And the woman conceiving brought forth giants, whose stature was each 300 cubits. These devoured all which the labor of men produced, until it became impossible to feed them, when they turned themselves against men, in order to devour them, and began to injure birds, beasts, reptiles, and fishes, to eat their flesh one after another, and to drink their blood. Then the earth reproved the unrighteous. The Hebrew word for giant is Nephil, from Nephal, properly, a feller, example, a bully or tyrant, giant. There are three races that came forth from the fallen angels: the giants, which are the Nephilim, the Nephil, which are the children of the giants, and the Eliod, or Eljo, which are the children of the Nephil. Jubilees 7:21-22. For owing to these three things came the flood upon the earth, namely, owing to the fornication wherein the watchers against the law of their ordinances went a-whoring after the daughters of men, and took themselves wives of all which they chose. And they made the beginning of uncleanliness, and they begat sons, the Nephilim. And they were all unlike, and they devoured one another. And the giants slew the Nephil, and the Nephil slew the Eljo, and the Eljo mankind, and one man another. 2 Peter 2:4-5. For if Elohim spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness, to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah the 8th person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly.
And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day.
Most people believe that the giants were all destroyed in the flood and that the fallen angels were all bound in everlasting chains. This is true as it relates to the first fallen angels and giants. But we must keep in mind that there were giants after the flood that dwelt in the land of Canaan. Where did these new race of giants come from? If the first giants came of fallen angels, and the original fallen angels were bound unto judgment, we can only conclude that they must have come from a new generation of fallen angels. They continue to come down and take the daughters of men as wives and bear children unto them. This is why Paul warned us of this thing, of angels coming down and talking to us.
Galatians 1:6-8. I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that called you into the favor of the Messiah unto another good message, which is not another. But there be some that trouble you, and would pervert the good message of the Messiah. But though we, or an angel from heaven, preach any other message unto you than that which we have preached unto you, let him be accursed.
Be not forgetful to entertain strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares.
Did you hear that? I find it amazing that Paul said that an angel can come and give you a message contrary to that which the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, had given. You mean to tell me that some of us has entertained angels and wasn't aware of it? That means not knowing that they were angels. They took on the form of flesh and blood, and some took on this form in order to take human wives. This is why we see giants after the time of the flood. The land of Canaan was filled with them. The scriptures give account that there were many giants throughout the land of Canaan after the flood. Where did they come from?
And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. The Emims dwelt therein in times past, a people great and many, and tall as the Anakims, which also were accounted giants as the Anakims, but the Moabites call them Emims. For only Og king of Bashan remained of the remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it after the cubit of a man.
The Book of Enoch 7:11-12. And the women conceiving brought forth giants, whose stature was each 300 cubits. These devoured all which the labor of men produced, until it became impossible to feed them. Most Christians try to discredit the Book of Enoch based on the passage that says the giants were 300 cubits tall, which makes the giants around 450 feet. That's pretty incredible, and seems to be questionable. The scribes and translators must have made an error, and the actual text could have read 30 cubits instead of 300, making the giants about 45 feet tall, which is in accordance to some of the remains being found.
I find it strange that Christians are willing to discredit the Book of Enoch based on a couple of errors. But the King James Version has hundreds of such errors, not to mention Christianity itself is full of errors.
The Book of Enoch is one of those that's accepted by some and rejected by others. It is a very controversial book because it raises a lot of questions about the identity of certain racial groups, and it brings greater understanding to many of the mystical things that are greatly misunderstood today. You have the question of the giants, the spirits that roam the earth, the elements of end-time prophecy, and so much more that are very difficult to simply just dismiss because there's just too much starting to make sense as certain events unfold.
We know for a fact that there were giants in the land of Canaan after the flood. Where did they come from? The Book of Enoch and the Book of the Giants give very good information about the giants and the fallen angels they sprung for, and who their descendants are.
The Book of Giants is an apocrypha Hebrew book, expanding a narrative in the Bible. Its discovery at Qumran dates the text's creation to before the 2nd century BC. The Book of Giants is thought to have been based on the Book of Enoch, a pseudepigraphical Hebraic work from the 3rd century BC, itself based on Genesis 6:1-4 concerning the Nephilim, which, in the Enoch version, are the offspring of fallen angels. Aramaic fragments, along with other fragments from the Book of Enoch, were found among the Dead Sea Scrolls at Qumran. The text relates how some giants, named Oya, Ahaya, and Mawe, sons of the fallen angels, have some dreams that foresee the biblical flood. The Book of Giants, Fragment J, verses 27. Thereupon the giants began to kill each other and to abduct their wives. The creatures too began to kill each other. They chose beautiful women and demanded them in marriage. So did all carried off severally. They were subjected to tasks and services. And they from each city, and were ordered to serve the Messenians of Messenia, which was a region of Greece.
The First Messenian War was a war between Messenia and Sparta. It took place around 754 BC. In 480 BC, Leonidas, Sparta, sacrifices 300 Spartan soldiers at the Battle of Thermopylae so the main forces can escape the Persians. This is where we get the movie 300 from. Of course, they made a lot of changes to the original story. Now, why is this so important? These early nations were all descendants of fallen angels, which the Nephilim sprang forth from.
Most authors have not taken into account that this Nephilim and their children, the Eliud, could reproduce. This explains some of the strangeness of ancient mythology. Moreover, perhaps were humanoids, such as the Neanderthals came from, and why they are not of the same DNA branch as modern humans out of Africa. However, Neanderthals were not the only hominin species that humans mated with. According to a new study, East Asian and European populations share genes with the Neanderthal. Also, East Asians share genes with the mysterious archaic hominin species that lived in Siberia, the Denisovians, that are close cousin to the Neanderthal.
Write that, people. Okay. And we're going to go to part 2.
We must remove the book of Enoch. In any books that reveal who we are and what we are doing. Yes. We have sown our seed throughout the earth. Yes. Our seed is everywhere. Yes. These are our children. Yes. Yes. We must hide our identity. We must hide our identity. Yes.
Shout out to Redirected.
Angels and demons can't cross over onto our plane. So instead we get what I call half-breeds. Those with a demon's touch, like those part angel, living alongside us. They call it the balance.
We know by our previous studies that the sons of Japheth lived and populated the area between the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. It was actually Japheth's sons and grandsons that populated this area: Meshech, Tubal, Ashkenaz, and Togarma.
This area is also known as the Caucasus Mountains. Also, we know that according to the Book of Jasher, Esau's grandson Zepho became king over children of Chittim. Japheth's grandson, also called Rome, subdued the children of Tubal and the surrounding islands of Japhet and the Caucasus Mountains.
This is the missing link between Japheth and Esau and the modern Caucasians, or the white race. According to the Book of Enoch, 200 angels descended upon Arnis, which is the top of Mount Arnon, today known as Mount Hermon, which is not far from the Caucasus Mountains. Believe it or not, Esau's seed was spoiled a long time before he mingled his seed with Japheth.
Chapter 36. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan, Ada the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and Oholibamah the daughter of Anah, the daughter of Zibeon the Hivite, and Bashemath, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth. And Ada bare to Esau Eliphaz, and Bashemath bare Reuel, and Oholibamah bare Jeush, and Jaalam, and Korah. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan.
Notice at the time that the children of Israel went spied out the promised land, or it was actually called what? The land of Canaan, it was full of what?
Giants.
Giants. The children and grandchildren of the fallen angels. They were known for terrorizing all those that dwelt in the land. What woman did the fallen angels take after the flood? The fallen angels before the flood were all bound in chains. And giants, all the giants that were born to them were all destroyed in the flood. So why then are we seeing giants in the land of Canaan after the time of the flood?
The angels were still mating with women, and they mated with the mixed seed of Ham's son Canaan. This offspring of the mixed seed of Ham became the new giants after the flood.
Notice, David kills Goliath in 1024 BC, and Esau is born in 2006 BC.
The Nephilim are the giants, the children of the fallen angels, and the Nephil are the grandchildren of the fallen angels. They would snatch the daughters of the people that came from Ham, Esau, and Japheth, and these children are the Eljo, or Eliud.
Remember the movie Time Machine? Keep in mind that Esau, according to the scriptures, was a troglodyte, a cave dweller. The book of the Giants states that the giants began to kill each other and to abduct the wives of the fallen angels. This is why the Asians and Caucasians have Neanderthal DNA and not the African. The Neanderthal was a troglodyte, a cave dweller, just like Esau.
Even Discover Magazine, May 2011, with the catchy title, "You Are Not Human," says that Caucasian and Asians are 3% Neanderthal and up to 5% Denisovian, and a whole lot of bizarre early ancestors. This could be where the Star Child skull came from. The Star Child's skull is a malformed partial human skull, likely to have been that of a child which paranormalist Lloyd Pye has claimed is of extraterrestrial origin. Pye claimed to have obtained the skull from Ray and Melanie Young of El Paso, Texas in February 1999, stating that the skull was found around 1930 in a mine tunnel about 100 miles, or 160 kilometers, southwest of Chihuahua, Mexico, buried alongside a normal human skeleton that was exposed and lying supine on the surface of the tunnel. Pye claimed the skull to be a hybrid offspring of an extraterrestrial and a human female.
At one time, we believed that Esau's seed was spoiled when the barbarians sacked Rome, since Rome was Edom. But more truth has been revealed in the scriptures since then. Esau's seed was spoiled long before the sacking of Rome. So now when you look at Daniel chapter 2, verse 31 through 44, now it shines a little more light on that passage.
Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. The image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever.
Notice that all these kingdoms are metals: gold, silver, brass, and iron. But when it mentions the seed of men, it calls men what? Clay. The clay represents the indigenous people of the earth, and the metals represents the seed of the fallen angels. The clay represents the indigenous people of the world. They, meaning Rome, mingled their seed with the seed of men. All these kingdoms are the same as the mountains mentioned in the book of Enoch.
The book of Enoch 51:5. And that angel of peace answered me, saying, Wait but a short time, and you shall understand, and every secret thing shall be revealed to you, which the Master of Spirits has decreed. Those mountains which you have seen, the mountain of iron, the mountain of copper, the mountain of silver, the mountain of gold, the mountain of fluid metal, and the mountain of lead, all these in the presence of the elect one shall be like a honeycomb before the fire, and like water descending from above upon these mountains, and shall become debilitated before his feet.
Yes, you shall fall by the line. Again. Well, history repeats itself. If you don't learn from your past history, you're doomed to repeat it.
When does the Roman kingdom of the fallen angels mingle their seed with the seed of men? Just before the Messiah returns and smite the image and the mingling part of the image of iron and clay. That is why the scriptures say that it takes place in the days of these kings shall the Elohim of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to another people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and shall stand forever.
Yes. There is much we can learn from this. Right in our scripture. Right in our scripture.
Whether believe it or not, the human landscape has changed through the infiltration of DNA from entities outside of the human race. Now, many explanations have been provided for this over the years as to why we all look vastly different, but scientific evidence has proven that all non-Africans have DNA markers that are not completely human. Truth is truth, facts are facts, and the proof is in the pudding, as some may say. But everything we thought we knew is actually the real illusion. And that we thought was an illusion or a figment of our imagination is more real than our reality.
Truth, strange, and fiction.
The Book of Enoch is actually helping to unravel some of the mysterious ideologies that we see in fiction movies. Now, those who control the media, they were merely taunting our imaginations with the truth while telling us none of it was real. But the reality is, much of it is real, but our minds can't comprehend it as real because we've been controlled and programmed for far too long.
The seed of the fallen angels have been spread all over the planet. Think about the Messiah saying this: except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of Elohim. And except a man be born of the water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of Elohim. That's John chapter 3, verse 3 and 5. The non-African's blood have been mingled with the blood of fallen angels. Therefore, he must be born again. Why? So that he can become a new creature in the Mashiach, the Messiah. If any man be in the Mashiach or the Messiah, he is a new creature. Old things are passed away. Behold, all things become new. A new creation, because the old creation have been spoiled. Esau and Japheth's seed have been corrupted. The scripture states in Joel chapter 3 verse 21 that Yah is even going to cleanse Israel's blood when he gathers his people. The Most High have truly made a way for every man. This is why we must be born again. Some of the things that science have brought out seem to be quite disturbing. But if you look closely at the scripture and at some of the lost books, you'll see that it isn't something new. It has always been here in the word of Elohim, waiting to be revealed in the last days. Now, my question to you is this: do you want to be enlightened, or do you want to just stay in the dark?
Question. Right here before us. and fear not.
From this point on, we hope that this film will cause you to look at the world from a different, more realistic perspective, and not to merely just see it through the programming that you've received from a very early age. So what you need to do is ask yourself, what really is real? And what information do I need to abandon altogether?
Yes, I advise everybody to subscribe to Watchman and redirect. And I mean, they do tremendous work when it comes down to putting together the documentaries of truth. And there's nothing new under the sun. This is part of my reason why I don't do a whole lot of extensive same thing. What I do is share the knowledge that has already been shared. Because the people that have done an extensive research with more resources and more education, you know, come on. You have to be stupid to not listen to them. So why make things hard for yourself when you truly believe in Christ? He make things easy for you if you take his yoke. So what I do, I try to share the information that has already been shared. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people has not heard this. So those that have, you should know what he's coming from, where they're coming from. And again, thank you for tuning in. I hope this was beneficial to you. And on the end note, like this picture describes, we have to be the ones to chop off the head of the Nephilim, the wickedness that is running our world. Because the seed, as you can see, is in everyone. It's corrupted from the Injo and from Chittim, which is Rome, and from the Neanderthal seeds, you know, way before we thought it was, you know, and they continue to fall. You see so-called aliens everywhere. You hear about spaceships, you hear about creatures snatching people, you hear about this, that, and the other, because that's them. The Nephilim, the children of the Nephilim, or the children of the giants. Because first there's the fallen angels, which was the sons of God, and then they took wives, which was of human beings, or women, impregnated them and begat the Nephilim, which is the giants. And then the giants went and mingled as well with different black people, shall I say, the sons of Ham, Shem, and Japheth. And the seeds are corrupted, and we have to be born again. We cannot be in this wicked flesh. That's why the Bible always talks about the wicked flesh. The flesh is weak, but the spirit is strong. It always makes quotes about the flesh being wrong. Even Noah was found perfect in his genealogy. Okay? Not in his ways, but in his genealogy, the way his bloodline was clean. He wasn't, you know, with the Nephilim, or with the seeds of the Nephilim as well. So it's a long story, but it's worth your time to learn this information about the Book of Enoch and about what's really going on with the wickedness, because the wickedness is in their nature. You know, remember now, these are demons. These are the seed of demons. Fallen angels, you know, not good angels, fallen angels. You know, Nephal, you know, tyrant. Look at what they were doing. They got them in the flood. And what do you think is going to happen next? If God destroyed all of the wickedness that was going on with the giants, the sons of gods, or the fallen angels then, and of course Satan, although those are the particular ones that are in everlasting chains until that great day, they still kept coming down. There's no other way to explain it. And we can see to this day strange things in the sky. People in that awe about things that's constantly killing you, destroying your world. But hopefully my prayer is that we will wake up to this knowledge, this wisdom, this understanding, and be like King David and chop the head off of the Goliath. Not just physically, metaphorically, but spiritually. And until next time, thank you for tuning in, and God bless you.